A new television campaign is being launched today titled "Disability Doesn't Discriminate, but the Government Does." Advocates are hoping the ads will highlight a government decision to scrap disability support for those aged over 65. Joining me live now is Mark Townend, the CEO of Spinal Life Australia, who's leading the campaign. Mark, can you tell us about the ad? Good morning to you, by the way.
Good morning, Peter. Well, I think people in Australia don't realise that the average Australian over 65 doesn't get assistance if they're over 65 and have a disability. So you'd be at a family barbecue, fall over, be a quadriplegic, paraplegic. If you're over 65, you could be stuck at home in bed without any help.
But there is some help, though, isn't there? Other options for those who become disabled after 65?
There's a My Age Care package, which is about 20% value of the NDIS package. So in other words,
right,
you could get care for maybe 2 or 3 days a week. Otherwise, you could be laying in bed, can't even get to the bathroom. That's terrible. We're a humane society. We need to have that safety net available.
So the benefits are minimal. That's what you're saying with the option that's there.
Peter, there's people in a wheelchair now. There's someone I know who's 160 days in a wheelchair. They don't get out of their wheelchair 100 days out of that 160 days. They've actually been sleeping in their wheelchair. They can't get to the bathroom. And this is Australia, a modern, humane country. We need that safety net now.
Sure. So how common is it, Mark? How common is it? Do you have the stats and the numbers for those with disabilities aged over 65?
There's obviously quite a number of tens of thousands of people who could be in this situation. We've got, in our own situation in our Spinal Life Australia, there's 1,000 members who actually well over 65 years of age who could fall in this. Luckily, a lot of them have got family support, but there's a lot of people out there without that family support. And this also creates a whole issue within the family. They may have the younger children, grandchildren, and they can't always look over those aged parents. That's why we need the safety net here. If you're over 65, there should be no discrimination whatsoever for care in Australia. These people have paid taxes, some of them have fought for the country, and yet we leave them on the scrap heap. This is a terrible thing for a situation like that here in Australia.
Okay, can you paint us a picture then for the shock ad? What are people going to see, Mark?
Well, they're going to see a lonely person in a wheelchair with no one around them to help them get out of bed, to help them actually attend the bathroom, to help them actually be fed. This is the situation where paraplegic and quadriplegic, they don't have the movement. There's a whole lot of people with disabilities that gets after 65. We've got a person on the Gold Coast, 74, great contributor to society, cycling, had an accident, all of a sudden can't use his arms or legs and realises he doesn't get that support. We need to make sure that the politicians around the federal table in Canberra have a conscience and make a decision to support people, and doesn't matter how old you are.
So what is your message this morning to the Minister?
And that gets thrown amongst a few ministers, the NDIS Minister, Aged Care Minister and the Health Minister. Sort it out amongst yourselves, get that legislation right, and make sure that if you're over 65, you get looked after in Australia like you should do in a humane country. These people
how have conversations... Sorry, Mark. How have conversations gone with the government so far?
The government's been cooperative. They also know about the Royal Commission recommendations that know this should happen, but at the moment they're being able to move everything around and have other priorities. I say older Australians are a priority. This is a life and death situation for many people because they need the care today, not 5 years' time. Let's make the changes. Look, in Australia, you can be a backbencher one day and an acting Prime Minister within hours. So let's make the change for these older Australians. It's an important move, and Peter, it can affect every one of us, every one of our families.
Very good point to make. Mark Townend, the CEO of Spinal Life Australia. Appreciate you coming on. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Peter.